Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Carnival of Randomness. I'm Rob, your coffee-fueled host with the always peppy Greg.
Hi!
And we do read your letters. We get lots of them. You crashed my email site. There's one guest that you keep asking us to bring back in. If the real story of election fraud in 2020, if they counted write-in votes, I'd be calling him Mr. President. Yes, it's the return of... Wait for the music. Bauman!
Hey, how's everything going?
And then we have two of the really best drummers known in the universe. They've actually been abducted by Martians to play on their planet. And we have, it's Rob's back.
Yay.
And the best friend of the masked drummer, John.
Hey.
And we have three drummers in the studio, so we might be able to change a light bulb after the show.
Yeah.
So we're just going to go freeform today, but one thing Jeff and I have talked about, we have to just bring up a little COVID.
But the light bulb has to want a change meter.
Yeah. I might need a few more drummers. I'll see if I can corral them. I'll put some Oreo cookies out and stuff and get them in the studio.
Pizza combos.
One to change it and 15 to criticize how he did it, right?
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute. No, that's guitar players.
Yeah, that's a guitar player.
Yeah.
But,
I could have done that.
We've lived with COVID now for over a year, and I could say, going to some gigs I've been going to, before when I would go out, I might say, okay, there's like 2 or 3 places I'm going to stop at. I'm going to go in, be casual. Now I have to go 2 hours early, make sure I get a seat because of limited capacity. You got usually staff is very short these days.
Yeah.
How is, especially speaking of, I know there's one musician who doesn't want to talk about being a musician because the fame got to him still too much. And I know I heard the rumor that your band was going to play for.
Nope.
I heard $25 billion a song and you turned it down.
Not
okay.
happening. Yeah, that's an insult. I mean, that's way too low.
Yes, but how did, especially for you three working musicians, how is and Rob, your gig with your Sammy Hagar Van Halen loving people, obviously, at that show that I saw. It was one of the last gigs I saw.
Who, me?
Yeah, at the show at, what's the heck's Pineapple Jacks? That was like one of the last shows I saw before COVID.
Oh, yeah.
And I just started to say, somebody in your band loves the Sammy Hagar because they kept playing the Sammy Hagar. But in terms of especially being busy with gigs, how has it affected you working musicians, obviously, the last year?
Well, tremendously. I mean, the whole industry's been shut down, and anybody who can gig are the guys that can go, in a corner with their acoustic guitar, more or less, and it's called incidental music, And I mean, there's been some stuff here and there. I mean, there have been ways guys have gotten out, playing in a backyard somewhere. There's been some outdoor things I saw. At the Pelican's Nest, they set up a tent and they were able to get some bands playing. So. But obviously, you're talking 99% of the industry has been just obliterated right now, and it's tough. I mean, you got name player guys that are out there selling possessions to try and pay their bills at this point.
I do know a couple, like one of my friends who does a pretty decent, she had to get another job during this.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, luckily for me, when I was touring with Lou, I always had something else to do when I was home, strictly out of mostly boredom because I only went away for weekends with him. So what else am I going to do for the other 4 or 5 days of the week? And then extra money. So I've just kept doing that. I teach drums too, and that got me through all this. Once the music thing dried up, I mean, at least I had something that I've always had. People that always did this as their gig, all of a sudden found themselves screwed, and that's tough. And roadies, we're talking everybody, publicists, we're talking merch people. Anybody that has anything to do with it.
There was a huge article in Rolling Stone a couple issues ago about the industry.
Yeah.
And just what you're saying.
Yep.
All the promoters, all the merch people, all the people that are, the guys that transport gear. I mean, they got, all of a sudden, they're like, now what do I do?
Everybody. Yeah. I mean, people just think of the musicians. I mean, musicians are the main guys, but there's a gazillion other people that this affected.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I mean, I was doing a lot of recording. We with None of Us Willpower, we took the time to, work on some new songs and stuff like that, so that was good. I mean, that's about all you can do. We did a couple Zoom things. We did the home stage XXI thing. But, and that was I think that was a great platform, that XXI got right on that. And, you could send your stuff in, and they would have a platform, and then you could, bands could...
Was that at the Little? I forget, because I know Maber did one.
Well, that was at the Little, but there was also just on their website.
Yeah, I know Maber did one. It was just, you just watch it on, YouTube or Facebook.
But at least it gave you something to shoot for, and there was somebody saying, hey, okay, I mean, obviously they've got the gear to do all that stuff, so.
Something's better than nothing.
Yeah.
John, you were managing, quote unquote, the masked drummer probably for matches at this time.
Yeah.
I've never seen you two together, but I know you, man. You know one.
Grappling with himself.
Whenever I had a gig in the town, he seemed to have a match in a neighboring town. No, but for me, in this industry where the prime directive is to fill whatever venue your band has been hired to play, it's kooky and weird to be paranoid about a packed house. I am fortunate in that I've never been in a place where music has been my main livelihood. So I've always held a day job, and I've never, for that matter, never broke out huge because of that, maybe. But when this happened, my music was my part-time job and a lot of income, and that went away. And I was, driving my band, the JPP, and we had a bunch of tremendous momentum that just all went away. But so I mean, it's and I haven't gigged since February 1st of 2020 when we played our last note at Three Heads Brewing. And I took a break to take my hernia surgery, and then this happened. So we just got back together, put an album out with the Centenary Road Band, which is a great record I'm really proud of. But I've been fortunate in that it has not had to sustain my livelihood. And my brethren who have been lucky enough to make a living off of music, boy, this has really hurt them.
And I think you also hit the point, Rob, because I think you could speak a little about CMAC, can't you, Jeff, how it's going this year? But the only thing is you don't realize, the Rolling Stones are going to be fine. But even the big gigs, it's the people who work at, the state, who do the work behind the scenes who's losing money, too.
I think if you go off of what everybody said, I mean, the overall economics / dynamics of the music industry have evolved and changed, like everything else in society, but before streaming and social media, bands could put out an album and they were making money off of selling the album. Maybe not a lot of money, but they were making money, and they're making money off of merchandise, and they're making money off tickets. Then you add streaming to that. Now they're not making any money, so now they have to tour. So if you're just a music fan, prior to COVID, it was like the greatest thing ever. More bands were touring. You had way more options. I mean, I can remember being younger going, man, I wish this band would come to town. I wish this band would come to town. Now it's like, shit, which one am I going to go to?
I wish any band would come to town.
I mean, before COVID, it was like, which one, I got to where do I want to put my money? I got options. It was great. And then COVID hit, and it's like, shit, there's nothing.
Well, think about what's going to happen.
All the people that work for the bands or support that, they're screwed. The nice thing...
And will they come back? Sorry to interrupt.
Well, yeah.
Because a lot of them are not. They're done. They got day jobs. They got something stable. Yeah. They're not coming back to working for bands.
Yeah, I mean the bigger ones will they'll figure it out. There are starting to see shows. They're getting posted. Going to happen this year. You asked about CMAC. They only have 2 shows posted right now for 2020, and I think those are in August. And I think it's more of let's hope and see what's going to happen.
Well, seeing what happened will be interesting because let's just assume everything goes back to quote-unquote normal and it opens up, which I have my doubts. Nothing's ever going to be normal again.
I've heard the 7 new deadly strains on the radio on the way over here.
Well, there's always going to be some way of keeping us in check, but let's just...
I like when the 7 deadly strains were Taco Bell. Go down here instead.
I mean, let's think about it. Hell, COVID took Nick Tahoe's out.
There you go.
Yeah.
But what I want to say is, okay, so let's play devil's advocate and say things will get back to normal. Let's just say. Yep. All right. So everything opens back up. Now you got all these bands who haven't toured in a year and a half, 2 years. They're all fighting for the same venues, the same dates, the same everything. And the guys that potentially the promoters are going to want are the guys who are going to pull in the most money, of course. So the B and C level bands are going to be left out in the cold because a lot of the clubs shut down because of this. So you're really screwed. And then you got to figure out who's going to insure against COVID. I mean, really. I mean, these venues are going to, You know, they don't want to get sued because somebody can go in there and claim they got sick, so you got to have insurance for this. Yeah. You're talking limited capacity, as we talked about. Even Cuomo or somebody was saying, well, we'll put it back up at 30%. Who's making money at 30%? Nobody's making money at 30%.
All right, so let me throw this question out. So let's say it is 30%. Mm-hmm. And you're a promoter and you have a facility and you can go with Band A or Band B. Mm-hmm. Band A would probably sell the place out, and Band B would probably be less than a sellout, but would be cheaper than Band A.
Right.
Well, I'm going with Band B because I'm only stuck at 30%. I'm going to pay less money up front.
It's a matter of finances,
right.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think
so. In effect,
that
could be a full house if Band B.
Right, Band B. That's a full house, and I'm paying for what I know I was going to get.
You're also saying when you go to some venues, you're going to see the prices are raised for the drinks and food. Obviously,
that's
already is bad.
That's happening already.
And the thing I found, like Michaela has a gig at the Hollow. It was actually literally her gig at the Hollow last March was the last traveling gig in Albany, and tickets were $12.50. Tickets are $80 this time because there's so few seats because it's a small place.
They got to make their money somehow. It's going to be tough. Who's going to pay? What is it? Genesis wants $500 a ticket or whatever the hell it is.
First, I mean, I was like,
really?
They're playing again?
When Genesis announced they were coming, I'm like, all right, this would be great. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, do I really want to see Phil Collins come out, sit in a chair in the middle of the stage,
right?
Like he's going to like fall over, and do Genesis songs? No. I'm like, fuck that.
You know, that's the point too, and we have to be honest. Like some bands are not getting any younger, and like Stevie Nicks said, one of the things COVID did was that it might have been taking away the rest of her touring life because they're not getting any younger. Right. And then you don't do it. I think Roger Daltrey said... Yeah.
This one ran through my head the other day because, all right, first it's a show that I'm not paying money to. I wouldn't go see, but it was a big promotion. It was that Def Leppard, Motley Crue, whatever show. And, all right, we're going to go out in 2022. And all I'm sitting there goes, so is Mick Mars going to be alive?
Right.
The dude's like, what, 76 or some shit like that?
Still alive?
He looks like he's walking death.
No, I thought he was in bad shape a few years back.
Right.
He's had a bad
Well, I use like Jeff's description. I saw The Who in 2017 at CMAC. They put on a great show.
They were phenomenal.
Roger Daltrey does look like B. Arthur.
Oh, he looks like B. Arthur all day long.
But I always go, the way to enjoy Won't Get Fooled Again is imagine when Roger does the yell that he got kicked in the nads. But that was like, wasn't that like the second biggest selling show at CMAC?
I think so. They were phenomenal.
They were great, though. They were great.
I debated going. I'm like, I'm not going to see them. I mean, they're old. And then all of a sudden, I went, and I was like, holy shit, they were fucking awesome.
I wanted to see Zach Starkey play drums with them. That's what that was.
That would have been really good. That would have been really good. Yeah.
He was good.
And they even did a montage to like Moon and Wilson, like Townsend did this guitar playing, and they just did a film of their whole history.
Yeah.
Did they? Oh, that's cool.
No, they were.
They were great, though. They
recommend seeing them. They were phenomenal.
Well, and that brings up another quick question. You know, when these guys are gone, who's there to fill the gap when all the rock stars are gone?
Well, we know a band that won't come back.
Iron Maiden. That's who's filling it.
Oh, good.
Iron Maiden.
Oh, speaking of that, like I know you played at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Any thoughts like on the people getting elected, or is anybody
You know, I'm glad Randy Rhoads is finally getting mentioned. That's cool. Other than that, I don't pay attention to that stuff.
I still Rundgren got in.
Yeah. All right. To me, it's a joke. I mean, it's just that Jan guy from Rolling Stone and his group and their politics.
What it is with the politics of that place sounds very strange.
I mean, it's listen to this. Okay, it's all politics because take Foreigner as an example. Now, from what I understand, they should. Well, I bring those Foreigners should have been in a long time ago.
They won't let them in.
Rod, because it's politics between Mick Jones and the people running the thing. And Mick Jones, as far as I understand, and this is just hearsay, was told as long as I'm alive, whoever said this to him, the bigwigs, as long as I'm alive, you guys ain't getting in there. You know,
they're in the Songwriters Hall of Fame.
Well, that's cool too.
But have you ever done any Foreigner covers up?
Me?
You ever done it? Yeah.
Yeah, never. Only for years.
I was going to ask, like, John, you've done like between originals and covers. Is it tough on the covers to try to make it sound like if you really want to make it sound like that band,
absolutely.
or you prefer to improvise?
Yeah, for me, I found it very challenging to play like drummers like Rob who can really go from song to song to song and really sound like that guy. I find that very hard for me to do. I mean, I could play any song you ask me to do, but I through my experience of doing it, I found it like, you know, I can play Dream Theater stuff, and I can, but I, you know, it is unbelievably challenging for me to do that, and I found I through trying to do it and doing it with a few bands filling in, I gained a huge respect for the guys who do that. You know, you know, like kind of like Keith Moon was very, you know,
Focused?
like
Insane.
Yeah, well, he was insane, but we all as drummers loved him, right? You know, he's awesome, but he couldn't get outside of his box.
Right.
He desperately wanted to be a studio drummer, but he didn't know how to use a hi-hat. You know, he didn't know how to get funky. He didn't. So like, and I'm not that bad. I'm not comparing myself to Keith Moon, please. Nobody think that.
You didn't drive the car into a pool on the way to the studio, did you?
No, but there's a certain chameleon aspect to doing that I'm you know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and I have mad respect for drummers like Rob and all the drummers out there who are doing it. I filled in for Terran a few times.
Oh, yeah.
And
cool.
And other bands, and if I'm doing my thing, or when I was playing with Buddha Hood, playing the world beat music, playing reggae and the funk, but man, I like, how come Pour Some Sugar on Me is so hard for me? I mean, you know, you
don't eat sweets.
Don't worry about it, man. I turn this channel when that thing comes out.
You're not stripping it up.
Yeah, but you're not in bad company. But take a guy.
No,
Here's a
Paul
perfect
Rodgers.
example.
I forgot who was the drummer in Bad Company. He wasn't
Simon
Don.
Kirk.
Yeah.
here's a perfect example. Tommy Aldridge, one of my favorite drummers. Now, he'll admit and has admitted he's no good at copying anybody's anything. But here's a guy who's made a career off of playing in bands that he's really never recorded too many records with. He's done the live thing. You know, with Ozzy, you know, he recorded one record, Bark at the Moon. And you look at Whitesnake, and, you know, he's been on maybe one Whitesnake record, but he's been in Whitesnake on and off for 30 years. So, but you listen to his interpretation, and he just can't, he's not playing it like the guy on the record. So you're in good company. You know, I mean, it's one thing. I mean, you have to have your own identity because that's what sets you apart from everybody else.
Right.
And you play, like you said, you play to your strengths. Some guys are great at copying everybody, but they don't have their own identity. So to me, it's a combination of both.
I'd rather listen to a cover tune that's got some flavor to it than
that's the
something
difference.
that's
I think
a copycat.
I think Rob, you made the point to, like, say John or Greg, or if you're playing in your own band and you're going to say, let's do a cover of this during our set, you can put your own spin on it.
Sure.
But if people want to come to see, like, obviously Lou and or, like, you know, some of your bands, they want to hear what they hear on their record. They don't want to hear you, like, diddling, doing a jazz fusion theme in the middle of
But
it.
the thing,
Depends on the
when
context.
you have to learn those things, the point is all that information seeps into your brain. Mm-hmm. And all that stuff goes into your collective little bag of tricks.
Sure.
Because you're listening, and this guy, okay, he's doing these cool hi-hat barks or whatever he's doing there. Or this guy, cool bass drum patterns. Or, this is cool stuff he does on this. You know, so all those little ideas, then down the road,
subconsciously
you
it becomes.
incorporate all that stuff.
Sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So without even practicing, well, you had to practice to learn them. But I'm just saying, without even thinking about purposely learning these things, you got them.
But then it's going to bleed into other stuff you do because it's there.
That's the good thing about cover bands, because I'm in a couple, you know, and I have to learn, like, you know, this and that and Joan Jett and this and that, and, you know, it's like.
Well, I'm gonna.
You're another one, dear Greg. You're a chameleon.
Yeah,
I
I'm gonna go back.
Music, though, I don't know.
I'm going to go back to that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing because this one kind of bugs me for a specific reason.
Steve Miller.
First off, I didn't think the list was bad. The people that got in, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I thought that's pretty good. It's pretty diverse. It hits on a lot of things. I thought Foo Fighters was way too soon. Like, way too soon.
Foreigner's not in there. Foo Fighters shouldn't be in the
It's
conversation.
like their first time they're eligible, and bam, they're in. So to me,
it's politics.
But to me, it felt like when Metallica lost the Grammy to Jethro Tull.
Right.
Like, wait, you don't put in Iron Maiden, but you put in Foo Fighters.
And then jive.
You know, and I listened to this show on SiriusXM called Volume, and they got the show called Feedback, and they talk about, it's just music talk. It's great.
Listen to Eddie Trunk talk about the record all day.
Well, yeah. Well, Eddie Trunk just talks about himself.
Well,
like,
yeah,
way more.
me.
But they talk. Oh, Jay-Z should be. He's relevant. He's one of the biggest artists. He's still producing. And I'm like, dude, you're just making the case for Maiden. I don't get it. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying Maiden should be in. Priest should be in. Motorhead should be in. Thin Lizzy should be in. Mm-hmm. But every time one of these bands comes up and they get passed over, they're like, well, we have metal in there. We have Def Leppard. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Really? Yeah. But Foo Fighters, first time out. How about this? Put Soundgarden in over Foo Fighters.
So
put Alice in Chains in.
25 years already?
Yeah.
Is that the limit? Wow.
I mean, they're on track to be in. I mean, they are great. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, no,
I heard their new album.
I believe they should be in, but it was just too soon.
No, I think they're like younger generation's Led Zeppelin. Like they're just gonna be icons. I think they're gonna be timeless. But you have a point there. And when was that? When it's like 30 years ago, almost when Jethro Tull went over Metallica.
Yeah,
it was like
90
90 or
years
something. And all those metalheads were like.
I think seniority should come into place somewhere. You know what I mean? A Deep Purple should beat the Foo Fighters in there. I'm sorry, just because they've been around. That's what I mean?
Deep Purple in.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, finally.
It took them forever. But
the heavy metal thing still blows my mind. I mean, how could they? It almost shows me that they don't even understand the music that they're voting in.
So that's why I use the Metallica Jethro Tull.
Yeah.
Like everybody that knew, like really knew music. Oh, this is a hands down Metallica all day long, and they're like Jethro Tull. We're like,
that flute's a rock and metal solo of those bands with those flutes.
I'm like, where are you coming with this shit?
It's so obviously a clique, and who is this? Who are these DJs across the country, or is this a board that sits in Cleveland, or what?
It's a board of directors, music insiders that vote. They give a fan vote. Mm-hmm. Maiden was in the top 5 of the fan vote, but the fan vote. So all these people, all these 1%. It equates to.
But you have a say.
Actually, one vote, one.
Oh,
so you have. 300,000 people vote for the band, right?
There's no band without the fan.
One vote.
There's no band without the fan.
You look at Iron Maiden, and I actually draw a comparison of all bands to Rush. This is in terms of sales. They have consistent sales. Whenever they tour, they sell out. They always deliver. The weird part was, like you said, reading Halford's book, I didn't realize that one of you said it to me. Halford and Dickus had left their bands at the same time.
Yeah, it was interesting how they came back at the same time. They went away at the same time.
I know Rob went off the sauce around 86. His book's really interesting.
Oh, his book is very interesting.
There's some stuff I didn't need to hear.
Him and Carmine Apiece's book.
I don't wash my hands after
this.
Oh, it's full of all sorts of sex shit and stuff. Oh, it's great. Worth every penny.
Yes, I read both.
What is this? I gotta write this down.
Carmine
and
Apiece's
also,
book.
a certain guest is mentioned in the paperback edition of Lou's book.
Oh, that would be me.
But the thing is about Foreigner, too, and I think a lot of people don't realize,
be in the rock and roll
reading this book, you forget how huge they were.
Sure.
I mean, they were really big.
Well, the problem with Foreigner is and I know we're in Rochester and everybody knows Lou and all that, and this isn't meant to be bad. And even Eddie Trunk will say this, and I agree with him, is you've got certain bands like Kiss where each guy is a star, an icon. You know who they are. But Foreigner, unfortunately, is kind of what you would call... Sounds bad, but like a faceless band.
That's the term, like REO, Journey, all those type of bands. And
Lou
those
and Mick.
Well,
what you think of usually.
Yeah, but I mean,
they hardly had pictures on the albums. So
nobody had freaking Ian McDonald's poster up on the wall. I'm sorry, as great as all those guys were. Okay, you did.
So I also like Mr. Moonlight as an album.
Oh, that's an incredible.
I love
record.
that album. A lot of people don't even know.
Record. Oh,
well, look how long it took the Doobie Brothers to get in. They just got in last year.
Yeah, Cheap Trick. I mean, all
what
these
the
bands.
fuck?
Yeah.
I just watched a Doobie Brothers concert. It's on that Tubi app.
Yeah.
Roku. At the Beacon Theater. And they got horn section. And they are just
unbelievable band.
Yeah.
And it took
with one drummer.
Yeah, it was New Year's Eve, like 1973. I was at home with my big brother, and this brand new band came on, and Dick Clark's Whatever. And this is when our parents let us stay up. I was like, 7 or something. And this new song with this new band, and it came out with Black Water.
Oh, black water,
keep on rolling.
rolling.
Me and my brother jumping around the room. We were addicted to that song ever
I thought
since.
they were brothers too. I didn't realize they were named after weed. But you know, that's the point you brought up, John.
Hello,
I
Mr.
think
Doobie.
now, for all of you your age, I'm a little younger, so I don't know. But like now, the music's all over the place. Sometimes there's too much to choose from. Remember growing up, we had to like if our parents let us stay up, there was like Dick Clark, like Midnight Special, maybe
Don Kirshner's rock
concert. I have a
You had
kid.
to, man. You had to like
Man.
find music.
Yeah.
That was
Good.
part of the. It was part of the journey. It was like great. You'd meet people that like had like tastes, and you'd share shit. Oh, this is check this out.
Yeah.
This is great. You're gonna like this.
That's interesting because you got to check this Tubi app out because there's tons of music crap on this thing. Documentaries. There was this one thing I just watched it yesterday. It was called Mayhem and something or other, but it was all about the Scenesters or whatever. But it was all about the L.A. '90s. Melrose
Oh,
Ave.
yeah. A friend of mine just told me about that. Yeah.
And it's just, and they're all saying the same thing. Man, there were all these clubs, and everybody came out, and you could have this band, and they were this way, and then this metal band would play after them, and there was no like competition, and it was like all groovy.
It's like a community type
yeah,
thing.
and and it was like really interesting, and it's like.
Well, the internet, in a way, the one thing the internet did that ruined things is now anybody can put anything up there, and it's all. I mean, there's a shitload of stuff out there. There's too much stuff. Back in the day, not everybody could get a record deal and put out a record, so there was a certain vetting process where if somebody got a record deal, they went through some filters. Most of them. I mean, some slipped through it bad, but now anybody could do anything. There's too much white noise out there, and there's hard to find the good stuff.
Right.
There's also Kim Draheim, our friend Kim Draheim, when he was on here. He made a point. He said, remember this, Greg? We were asking about how records that he got really emotional about. He said, back in the 60s, okay, for whatever the negatives were, you had people who cared about music.
Right.
And they said, like, these days, Dylan would have got tossed because his first albums didn't sell. Quicksilver
a
would
lot
have
of
got
bands.
tossed.
Look at
where now, if you like the music, you would let them slide because you thought they were good.
You got to get it on the first run, otherwise you're done. I mean, a perfect example, let's say Bon Jovi. Their first two albums didn't do a lot.
No, I saw them open, like, for bands. Remember, you probably went to the shows, too. I just never saw them.
But they didn't hit till their third record, I mean, they wouldn't have gotten that chance today. No
It's
way.
funny. It's
Okay,
at work
hold
the
on,
other.
but hold on. Would they
Didn't go on,
have
John, afterwards.
would they have even hit if it wasn't for MTV?
Well, that's a whole nother discussion. That definitely helped. MTV was a huge thing.
Oh,
bands,
But today, but at least it was a vetting. Still, it was some sort of filter there where just not everybody get on there. Now on the internet, anybody can record a record in their bedroom and put it up on YouTube or whatever. Anybody can do anything that they want, which is great. But the problem is there's too much of it, so trying to find the good stuff is hard.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's no filter. There's nobody that vetted it being good to get released. So now,
but I kind of like the fact that there's all this stuff's out there,
that's definitely good.
and to me, like the cream rises, but you can also say shit rises too. I mean,
But it's just harder to
Spoiled
find the
cream rises to the
Yeah,
top, too,
I
and
mean,
leaves
that's what
little
I'm saying.
lumps.
but then I also think,
cream of the shit.
like when we were kids, I would find something, share it with you. You'd find something, share it with me. You go to a record store, you talk to the guy that owned the records, and he'd be like, "Oh, check this out. You're gonna like this, right?"
Yeah.
With all the stuff that's out there, if you're talking to people that are in music, hey, check this out. This is because now you might find something I would never run across.
Oh, sure.
So you still have that.
And the other thing was,
dynamic
too, it's
to
like,
it,
I would go, like, Jeff, you been down to Lakeshore? What'd you get?
yeah.
Like, you go down there and do something. What I would do in the day, because
miss
stuff
that
was so
freaking
cheap.
place.
I know. But I would go down. I would go places like Lakeshore, House of Guitars.
Sure.
If I saw a cool album cover, it was cheap enough, I'd just buy it. Mm-hmm. And just try it from there.
Well, that was a lot of it. I mean, you
saw if it was a good album
cover's cool. I'm
cover.
going to buy it. You never even listen to it. Bring it home. You put it. It was like a crapshoot. Holy shit, this is great.
But now,
God,
like,
can't believe
we're an
spent money on
example of
that
what
crap.
we're doing right now. Though, when I started doing this, I was like, there's a lot of really not good podcasts there. There's good ones, though, too.
Exactly.
You gotta
Anybody
find,
can
but
do
you
one.
can do them.
Sure.
Yeah.
But, John, you had a point to make?
Oh.
Share it with the class.
Oh, well, let's see. It was a funny anecdote about what we were just saying. I was at work, and we're playing music, and Pink Cadillac by Bruce Springsteen is playing. Pink Cadillac, and that tune is repetitive through the whole tune, huge hit, smash hit, and Bruce Springsteen is a legend, and I hope I don't piss people off, but I said a remark to a guy. He said, well, good thing he wrote Born to Run first. Because he wouldn't got the bring.
Exactly.
And he brought that to the guy in 1974. It's like,
Right.
go pound sand, pal. But, because, that tune undoubtedly is hooky.
Sure.
It's just a groove. And people sometimes just like the groove. And,
Well, it's amazing once you become famous and got a reputation and you've established yourself, as a lot of artists have proved, then you can go out and do whatever the hell you want to do and get away with it just because you're who you are.
Or you get people to have more patience with you. So just
Right.
listen to this.
Right, because it's Bruce and Bruce has already done all
I
that.
want to do a country album, like that.
Sure.
Oh man, yeah, that was. So you guys were talking about that stuff, and that story popped in my mind.
That's funny.
Going back to you mentioned Midnight Special, and I was rummaging around at a dollar store or something and found a Midnight Special DVD. And so it had 7 or 8 performances on there. Argent, Hold Your Head Up, Harry Chapin doing Taxi, right? But I mean, Harry Chapin, he's got a cello player with him. He's got, this was all live, no BS, no verb, no nothing.
No auto-tune.
Just straight up these guys playing live, and that was it. And it was really cool. And I'm watching this and going, man, there's no tricks, there's no crazy editing. It's just
It's amazing. It's amazing that back then
concept,
people actually played.
Yeah.
But here's that's a whole nother tangent we could talk about. But the problem is once certain people get away with using tracks and computers and what the audience thinks they're seeing and hearing ain't really what's going on, then you got guys that play live. Now they got to compete with the guys that sound perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, so now we got to probably use tracks because they sound like the record. And even though we can do it, now we don't sound like our record, but it's just fucked up. And take the band like the Eagles, and I'm not going to tell you who told me this, but the Eagles today basically play along to a computer, even though those guys could sing look at how well they sang.
Yep.
Now those guys are playing to a
And
computer.
I know Don Felder's book said Don Henley wants it to sound just like the album.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, I've been working on some demos, and we're going to be recording them with live musicians, obviously. But just to cut some videos, we've used studio music, right? So I sent one to a friend, and you know what his comment was? I don't know who's playing the band, but that band is great.
Who's playing the band?
Who's playing those instruments? The band's great.
I got a real quick funny story. Joe Vitale, a famous drummer he played with the guys in the Eagles and Joe Walsh and all that. And he told me, he was telling me a funny story. When he was on tour with the Eagles, one night they were playing some song and he did a little fill that wasn't on the record, thought it was cool. A couple of guys turned around and looked at him or whatever. And, he thought it was a cool thing. After the show, he gets called up to, I think it was Fry, or it might have been.
Probably Henley, I bet.
Henley.
Henley was the freaking...
Yeah. So Henley called him up to his hotel room. He opens up the door part way in his bathrobe or whatever, and he goes, "Hey, Joe, that fill you did tonight in whatever song, Hotel California, let's just say." And Joe's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Don't ever do that again." Shuts the door. And so the next day at sound check, the guys were coming up to him and they go, "I'll give you $500 to do that fill again."
The problem is you do that fill, that's the last
done.
$500.
It's like, here's your 500, you're out.
Yeah,
But I heard the story. Greg Townsend, my good friend, he's producing a band in England called the Hillbilly Moon Explosion. They work next door to Van Morrison. He said he could hear Van screaming at his musicians and throwing them out if they even got one note wrong.
Well, who did that? James Brown would do that too.
Yeah.
Some of these guys are sticklers. They want it
Chuck
how they
Berry's
want it.
tough. I mean, Chuck
Cocaine's
Berry.
a hell of a drug, dude.
But that was one thing I was going to go back to a little, because we used to always... John and Greg, did you have a go-to record store when you were little ones?
Oh yeah, I did. Mine was in my formative years was in Cincinnati, Ohio.
You drove all the way from here to
Yeah.
Cincinnati for records. They had to be really
I went
good.
to high school in Cincy, and speaking of discovering little, how we used to discover music, there was this weekend Friday night metal show on one of the local independent stations, and me and my boys would run around in the car, get McDonald's, and drive around and listen to this show. And
By the way, for the young people, McDonald's means get some beer.
yeah, that's right.
Haha, we know.
Yeah, and McNuggets. Anyway,
That one you need to figure out yourself.
The
Nuggets.
Shamrock Shake.
But this was the early 1980s, and they played this one song, and we were all on the heels of I think maybe Peace of Mind from Maiden, and we're waiting for the next Maiden release.
Great
It might have been
My favorite.
might have been Number of the Beast, but we're waiting for the next Maiden release, and they played the song, and we're like, that must be the brand new Iron Maiden, and it was Queen of the Reich.
I was going to say Queensryche. I thought the same thing too. When Ron first started playing that first Queensryche EP, I thought it was some Maiden
The
song.
Lady Wore Black, Queen of the Reich.
The 4-song EP.
Lady Wore Black, all that stuff.
We were like, turning it up as loud as we could, banging our heads.
Dude,
that
that's
was
so funny. I thought the same thing when I first started.
And we're probably the same age. I'm 55, right?
53. So
Okay, so we're same generation. So the next day, this new band, Queensryche, we go down to the College Station, which was near University of Cincinnati. I forget the name of the place.
WKRP.
Well, we got our hands on that force. I still have it in my record
I have it a
collection.
cassette. There's a place called Rainbow Records on the Ridge. I used to go down. They'd have every cassette was either like $6.99 or $4.99 for an EP. And I go and they had it locked in the case so I couldn't steal it. And I go, I want this. But then I met Queensryche was one of the first bands I ever met. They opened for Kiss.
I was there.
That was the guitarist. My dad's got a great picture. He took the picture of the drummer. The drummer's aiming his stick at him, and they were just great.
Oh, we were addicted, man. And then Warning came out. Oh, they were
great stuff.
See, I thought Warning sounded like Maiden, too, like Bruce. Warning.
Once you get used to it, he has a definitely his own inflection
like
voice.
Queensryche.
It's just that high, screamy metal voice.
Very operatic.
Yeah, but you know what I really loved was that third record that a lot of people don't like.
Yeah,
Oh, Rage for Order.
Yeah.
That
I
album's
Dream in Infrared.
I love that.
Walk in the Shadows. Remember when we saw
album
Jeff
is
Tate? That was
so
like one of
good.
the. I think Walk in the Shadows was one of the encores near the end.
Yeah, great song.
Yeah, yep. Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorite albums. That album's ridiculous.
Isn't it funny how it gets looked over? Everybody I talk
It goes
loves
from a
it.
warning to mind crime. It's like, wait a second, there's something in between there.
That's like the Elder for Kiss. Back
Right,
in the day, it threw everybody off. And now today, it's like, I dug that one. It's just kind of. It's interesting as time. Well, I'm not saying you did right from the beginning, but I'm just saying sometimes as time goes on, all of a sudden the stuff we thought was all fucked up is suddenly cool.
No, my Elder.
yeah,
I had the weirdest Elder CD. So I like for my parents for Christmas, like get me Kiss the Elder. They get me the tape, right? I put it in. They messed up. It was a Huey Lewis tape. Somehow, and we took it back, and I guess there was something wrong with the way that they got him. So they were giving out Elder CD, but there was a Huey Lewis.
Wow, this is really different.
I'm like, wow. And I'm listening. No, but the first thing is I'm listening to it at first going, wow, they sound really different.
Yeah.
Well, when I was a young metalhead listening to the Queensryche and the Maiden, to put a point on what Rob just said, I hated the Beatles. I couldn't find anything righteous about them. That's how stupid a young mind can be, and how you grow and you realize, wow, that really is the most amazing music around.
Yeah, it was like that with the Doors.
And then you're like Ozzy's favorite band, Beatles.
Because the drummer wasn't laying down 1,000 notes per measure, I wasn't impressed with it.
Right.
Well, it's like, do you like the same food necessarily you did 50 years ago? Everybody changes, and it's just.
If I ate the same food I ate 50 years ago, I'd be dead now, probably. Give me anything Hostess.
By the way, Rob, you lost like half a guy since I seen you last.
Whenever this is not shown as a picture.
Pounds,
I mean, that Rob.
Oh, that guy. Well, him too?
Yeah.
But
lost
one of the
30
things
pounds
too
in
is
a
like
year.
we've told the story, and I have to do I want to make sure it's not the Ron Stein, the voice. I put trademark up. I acknowledge that. But Ron Stein, who owned Lakeshore.
Yeah.
And we used to go down there, and he would just go, okay, what do you got for us this week?
Oh yeah.
And he'd
He's
just
a
go, you
great
got to
guy.
try this, you got to try this, you got to try it. That's how I found King Diamond.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Remember when Master of Puppets came out? He took a Master of Puppets and put it in front of every
single bin.
It was
Boom, boom,
Master.
boom, 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 boom.
That was a game changer.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Well, I saw they opened for Ozzy,
Yeah,
right? On
yeah.
that, because that was the
Yeah.
first time I saw them.
Yeah, when Cliff was still alive.
Yeah.
I was there. It was awesome.
That was right when I moved to Rochester. Right when
I remember going to that. I remember being in high school and we were going to go to that show. Everybody was like, oh, Ozzy. I'm like, dude, Metallica's going to blow him off the stage.
Yeah.
Destroyed
And they're
him.
like, what are you talking? Who? I'm like, I am the opening band is going to crush this guy.
I didn't get to go to that concert.
When that show ended, everybody's like, holy
Yeah.
shit.
I can only imagine. You
Sam
were
seems
there?
to have a habit of
I was
doing
there.
that.
Yeah.
Who else?
Van Halen.
Yeah. You know?
Man,
Well, see, I never saw Raw. I saw Raw solo, and I saw everything. We all went to the Hollanders Stadium. Not Hollanders, Silver Stadium show with Kim Mitchell and Bachman Turner Overtime, right?
Yeah, I was there.
And they sold this beer too, which was awesome because we were underage. They didn't care.
Do you guys remember
Kim Mitchell? I'm a huge Kim Mitchell fan.
Patio lanterns.
Do you guys remember Metallica Overdrive?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We used to listen to it all the time.
In '86, when I first moved to Rochester, it was that Metallica Ozzy show was happening, and I didn't get to go. But a few months later, Yngwie Malmsteen opened up for Triumph. In '86.
We read that one too.
So that was my first show living here, and I remember Rick Emmett had a broken leg. He's hoppling around in a freaking...
Oh, I forgot about that.
To bring it all around, so you're bringing up the Triumph Yngwie show, and you're bringing up all the music shows you watch on that Tubi. I'm waiting for the Triumph documentary.
Yeah, it's coming out. I can't wait to see that.
I can't wait to see that.
Did you have the one? Did you meet Yngwie at the Hog and you had like some import?
Yes.
You didn't even know what the hell it was?
Yeah, I had the imported version of Marching Out, which had a completely different cover.
Oh, wow.
And so I brought it for him to sign. I still have it. And, I put it down in front of him. He looks at it and he's like, what the fuck is this? In his Swedish accent. I go, it's your record. And I think his manager was behind him. He's turning around, holding the thing up, going, what the fuck is this? And everybody's going, bootleg.
Oh,
he didn't know what it was. Never saw
I'm
it.
confiscating this, bro.
I'm surprised he didn't. But
Dick Dale wanted to buy the Mojo magazine off me that is thinking it. And then after that, when I actually did the same thing with Ian McClog and the Small Faces, I had a German import of a Small Faces album. And he looks at it, he's like, first he goes, what's your name, Rob? He goes, my manager's named Rob. You ripped me off. But then he's looking at it, he goes, this looks like a bootleg. He goes, I'll sign it anyways. It wasn't a bootleg, it was a German import.
well, it just goes to show you. I mean, all these guys, people are ripping these guys off left and right. They don't know what's
Well, I've seen the Pew Gothic Toad Christmas edition.
Yeah.
And I know that's really rare.
Yeah.
But
I think
John, when you
Showdown's
got,
hoarding those.
yes,
by now.
when you got into metal, who was your go-to like metal thing?
I was a complete Rush nerd when I discovered...
Not a good drummer, but
I was a complete Rush nerd when I discovered Iron Maiden, I guess. I saw the video.
There you go. You're part of the group.
I discovered... I saw Run to the Hills on MTV or something, and then...
You ran to the record store.
And then I discovered Killers and their first album.
And
then I was on... I was with them every record until... I sort of lost me at Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, and they haven't got me back since. But
Really?
yeah, kind of.
But I know, like,
Moonchild on 7th, that freaking song's awesome.
we're gonna have a debate the next half hour about that album with you and Jeff.
I don't want to. Yeah. What grabs you is what grabs you, and it's just I can't explain.
Well, Rush is a perfect example of bands that change and do other things, and a lot of them end up coming back around years later, to what got them famous.
Rush never lost me.
Yeah, well, that's cool.
Hold Your Fire in the '80s came out, and I didn't like it. 20 years later, I listened to it, and I was like, I love this record.
Well, that's what we just said. It's amazing. Your tastes change.
But I read, like, if you read Bruce's book,
Bruce's
book about Blaze Bailey, I pronounced the name
Blaze
of the singer.
Bailey,
that Harris even said that he just didn't have the right voice for us.
No. Well, you know who has the right voice? As a quick side note, there's a guy on YouTube. If you haven't heard of him, it's called Rafael Mendez. You got to look him up. If you closed your eyes, and I don't say this lightly, you cannot tell the difference between him and Bruce Dickinson. He's got a shitload of Maiden covers, both with just an acoustic guitar or a full band. The production with the band stuff is amazing. And he does shit like Trooper and all this stuff. And then there's things like, what if Bruce Dickinson sang Nirvana? And it's him sounding like Bruce Dickinson. Dude, you gotta look him up. I swear to God.
Who's this kid? Who's the kid?
It's amazing.
Who's the kid from, I think he's from Brazil.
Oh, man.
And like George Lynch used them, and like he sounds like he'll do Dio songs, sounds like Dio. Does a Maiden song, sounds like Dio.
Oh, I know who you're talking. I can't think of his name. I know who you're
talking about. The comedian?
No. This is he's a musician. He actually did an album. Was it Dirty Shirley with George Lynch?
Yep.
This kid. Close your eyes, sounds like Dio. Close your eyes, sounds like Bruce Dickinson.
That's a gift.
And he just is freaking crazy.
But I have memories like of Maiden's first albums, walking around at the Mooney Carnival with a boombox playing "Remember Tomorrow."
Unchained and covered.
I forgot about the Moody Turtle.
Like, what was that freaking guy?
Oh, some guy said, turn that shit off.
Yeah.
Sister Margaret Mary running after you with a ruler.
The only Iron Maiden I have that EP with the drawing of Eddie on the cover.
Oh, that narrows it down.
They had a live EP.
Wow, yeah, that one's rare.
The one with Eddie on the cover. Wow.
I have the one they do Smoke on the
the one
Water
that
and
has
Cross-Eyed Mary.
I got that one.
Yeah,
I got that one, yeah.
It's like saying, I got that Led Zeppelin album with Jimmy Page
I
on
got
it.
the record with the hole in it.
Yeah.
Not kidding.
No, I know, but it's like a late '80s one.
Is it a live one?
No, it's
Live After
it's like
Death,
an
not
EP
like-
of some sort.
Huh.
Might have.
Made in Japan.
They've got
Yeah,
so
I
much
think it's
shit.
made in
The,
Japan.
the amount of people that just got into that genre because of that band is just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Well, they're a band, I put them up, and this is a strange analogy,
it.
but the Smithereens, where I think a lot of people, even if you don't like so-called metal, or you don't like with the Smithereens, you like them.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think most people dislike them, just like most people don't dislike the Beatles.
Speaking of like
listen.
YouTube and stuff like that, you ever watch those reaction videos?
Yeah.
I know
There's
of my
people, there's people like that
Yeah.
never heard. And they put it on. They got the split screen. You watch their face. Watch the ones when they do. Maiden does "Hallowed Be Thy Name" live, and the person sits there and they're like, okay, and then all of a sudden he hits that note and he just continues to go.
When the band comes
and they're
in.
like, stop, like. Holy shit, he doesn't stop. Rewind, play it again. Oh my God, he got high. What the fuck? Like, that's
think,
hilarious.
I think it's amazing that when someone got through 30 years of life and they never heard Baker Street. And it's like, what? You never heard this song?
Dude, it just shows you.
Did anybody watch those videos with that Tibetan monk doing songs? And he does like Breaking the Law.
No, I've never
Boom,
seen that.
boom.
I'm gonna have to look that
I'll
one
send
up.
it to you.
Oh, guys, I got to turn you on to something I just discovered.
No, we don't do those things in the studio.
No,
Turning each other on?
Have you guys heard of a band called Brownstein?
No.
No.
There's this. I discovered them through my music discovery mix app that sends me music every week, and they're some cool band that has horns and stuff. Big 10-piece band. They did this whole record called Brown Sabbath of Black Sabbath covers with horns and funk. It sounds amazing.
Brown Sabbath.
Brown Sabbath.
But the band's called
Brownstein.
Brownstein. All right, I'm gonna look them up.
Check it out.
Yes,
Check them out.
S-T-E-E-N or E-I-N at the end?
I have to look at my phone.
All right, yeah.
Jeff's looking it up.
Oh, no, I'm plugging it in like a note.
But
so
one
I
of
don't
the
forget.
things too is like reading Bruce's book, and Bruce even says at the end, I cut out the personal life, all stuff. This man, there could be 5 of them the way he's lived.
Oh, yeah.
He's done. He's phone
His
plays,
book-
Airplane,
Yeah.
fencer.
soccer.
Yeah, please. I feel like a real loser.
I know. Guy's done just about everything.
Yeah, like remember even in his book he says that and he's had families. He's done. He's leaves all this part out. And there's all this everything.
He
in
kept
it.
all the personal shit out.
Yeah,
But now he's growing his hair back long again, so now it's cool in my book. So there.
but it's amazing. But we were going to talk
Rub it
about
in, man. Rub it in.
Brown? No, it's Brown Out. It's not Brownstein.
Brown Out?
Brown
Brown out. All right.
Out.
Drown Out. Yeah, and I'll send you that Monk video. It's pretty good. This
The Wizard, Iron Man, NIB, Black Sabbath, Hand of Doom, Into the Void, Planet Caravan. It's amazing.
What's this app you're using? that
Oh, this
sends
is Amazon Music. I get the Music Unlimited. I subscribe to it.
And they just so I have that, but they don't just send me stuff. Is there something within your subscription that?
Well, I subscribe to the Music Unlimited.
Yeah.
With my Prime, and then I just pick stuff to go in my cloud if I like it. And then
Oh,
if
and they
I
say based on you might like this.
Oh, the Discovery, yeah. Based on what I listen to every week, they present you with a new Discovery mix. And
Got it.
I find some really cool shit that way.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day
Big
when
brother.
we were growing up, all that was those things you would order the 10 cassettes for a penny.
Yeah, the
Oh, my
music
goodness.
record club.
I
Yeah,
owe them
I
so
got
much
it.
money.
I was in all of
They're
those.
still after me probably
Oh,
for
no,
like
I got a really good one. So there was a record store in Rochester. I'll keep the name out, but it was there's like multiple ones. There was one on Ridge. There was one in Midtown Plaza.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
we know.
So I had a buddy of mine that worked there, and we'd show up
I know who you're talking about there, too.
We'd show up, and we'd just get like 5 or 6 or 10 CDs, and he'd charge us for one.
That'd be 12 cents, sir.
He'd charge us for one, but they also had the book with the stamps.
Yeah, he'd give you a shitload.
And then he would just go. So then we'd go back when he wasn't there with like 3 books. And go, I'll take these 3 CDs. Here's the book.
You're talking back in the analog age.
We put them out.
That's why they went out of
business.
business. Yeah.
But he's always kept us because we had a reunion and they gave us drink tickets. He got into the drink tickets and he was passing out the drink tickets at the reunion.
Oh, yeah. Well, come on. All right. Like, we have the side. This is a complete sidebar.
Well, we're gonna do a couple.
We go to our reunion. Like, okay, you got to pay X amount of dollars for drink ticket. Okay, here you go. But then they leave all the drink tickets, the roll of the drink tickets on the table. I'm like, oh, fuck that. That's the fucking roll.
Is that what you're thinking of?
Yes.
Yeah.
Whatever happened?
I don't know. I ended up working with him at a
saw
tool
the
shop
name over his
years
shoulder.
2 years ago. Yeah.
We'll pay you afterwards to shut you up.
I worked with him for a while.
One of the things I've been talking about
my record collection went from like limited to just boom,
kaboom.
Remember K-Tel Records too?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I had like the rock album. It had all these cut off tracks. From
My
all these
mom
songs.
still has some of those.
I
I have a couple.
yeah.
I have a Creedence one.
Wow.
I went through a late 70s disco era, and I have some of those mixes to this day, those K-Tel disco.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's the thing about music. I mean, there's so much out there, and you can. One minute you're listening to Maiden, next minute you're listening to
Jason Isbell.
phenomenal songwriter.
Yes.
I mean,
If
phenomenal
my feet
songwriter.
tap, I must like it. If I
Right.
start doing this.
Well, but it didn't used to be that way. When it used to be like, yeah,
You can only listen.
yeah,
to
if you like Iron Maiden, there's no way you can like Boss Skaggs. You're not.
No, you would do. You know what you would say? You know what gym class when we were in the locker room, I heard so and so. He said he's a Metallica fan. I heard him talking about how he was listening to Sting's album,
Yeah,
and you would be a pariah.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're part of the club. You're part of that club.
Just
you know?
like you like what you like. And
Well, concerts used to be that way too. You know, many concerts used to be a bunch of different type of bands that are not related, but you'd have a heavy band and a folk band on the same bill. You know,
You know how many times I got turned on to someone as an opener that I ended up liking better than we were just talking about that, you know. Bela Fleck, my wife drugged me to, I hope she doesn't hear this, drugged me to a Dave Matthews Band concert, you know, and
Kicking and screaming.
Bela Fleck's band was opening for them.
wow.
I bet, you know, Dave Matthews, another great icon, you know, I just sort of played out on him, but the drummer's fantastic. Who's that? Flash.
That's Debbie.
The Batmobile.
Yeah. But Bela Fleck's band mesmerized me. That drummer who plays half with a... ever seen the Future Man? Mm-mm. Oh, my goodness.
Future Man or Future Band?
Future Man. He's who's that sick bass player? Oh, he's his younger brother. I can't think of it because I'm being recorded and I can't think. But he plays an acoustic kit with his right side and some kind of like bar kit, like an electric guitar but with buttons. It's just unbelievable thing to. I go look up videos of Future Man.
But that's almost the thing now. Like obviously, like locally, we have these scenesters like myself, where a lot of people in bands come up to me who know me and I don't know them. So like we know, or like when we go to concerts, we always see all the people we know, and you meet people that way.
Sure.
Which we miss. That's part of the community. But I want to actually jump off to a couple tangents a little. How's the biking going in the motorcycling and this stuff, Jeff?
That hasn't been going well.
Did Sheldon go to Texas to get a bike?
Oh yeah, he bought a bike.
Did you solve the crime, Greg?
I did.
Bought a bike. He's getting it shipped up. We were all planned. He flew down. I was going to ride down. Then we were going to ride back. And that was right when, in April, all of a sudden, hey, let's have a snowstorm. I'm like, Mike, I'm not doing this.
You've driven in snowstorms before.
I've driven in snow, not snowstorms, but.
Not fun.
You know, nothing happened last year. No big trips or nothing, just because everything was closed down. So, you know, just waiting for this shit to open back up.
Is that crazy? Is like the craziest ride you ever have? That one up the mountain in Hawaii.
But that one, yeah, that was the road to Hana in Maui, which is 20 miles, and it took 4 fucking hours on a motorcycle.
Oh, my goodness.
Because it's on the side of a freaking mountain, go with all switchbacks. You never get out of highest gear you're in is second gear, maybe. And my wife's afraid of heights, so you're literally on the side of a fucking cliff.
Oh, wow.
So when you're going there, you're on the inside. So then when we get there, it literally did the Chevy Chase National Lampoon Vacation thing. You know, it's you get to the 7 waterfalls of Hana or whatever. We get off the bike. We get there, and my wife said, "Oh, let's go." I'm looking. I'm going. All right, we got to go. We just got here. I'm like, yeah. You won't let me drive back that way. There's no street lights. It took us 4 hours to get here. That means I got to go around the island on the road that's shut off for any rental vehicles. You break down, they don't come and get you. You just bought the car / motorcycle. Wow. That was the most bizarre bike trip I've ever been on.
Did it end well? Did it end swell? Did you get back and everything was fine?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was... Yeah, no, it was... So it's interesting. Like, if you've ever been to Maui, if you haven't, it's a really weird
just
island.
Just the Wowie version.
Like you could be on the beach. The weather's phenomenal, and you're like, it's like a mist because it's a rainforest too. So then you go to the road to Hana. You're as you're driving there, you think you're in the Adirondacks.
Wow.
And you wouldn't think that. Like, I'm in Hawaii. What the hell is this shit?
Yeah.
And then you get to this place, and then you're literally driving, and there's this gate, like, do not enter, don't go this way. And you go, and you start going that way. Well, that's the side of the mountain or the island. When the volcano erupts, that's where all the lava goes.
Okay.
So that's why they say you can't go there. So everything's burnt, just desolate. You get through that crap, and then the next thing you know, you're on the smoothest road with highland grass. You think you're in Scotland or something. And you're just flying, and then there's a winery, and then the next thing you know, you're at the beach. It's a really cool island, but that road sucked.
Several places in one island.
Yeah. There's
Never been.
I would recommend it.
That reminds me of those videos where you see, these guys on a bus on a cliff somewhere speeding, from like South Africa. They're speeding around or doing U-turns on one-lane things with these cliffs. That's what I've been envisioning.
It was like that.
Yeah, the mountain highways carved into the side of a mountain. In like South America somewhere.
No guardrail.
Another bus coming up.
The thing is, people take bus tours to go to this place, and I'm thinking, I hated riding it on a motorcycle, and people are getting in a bus to do this shit.
No,
and it's a national park, so when you get there, to give you an idea of how shitty a drive it is, I pull in. You got to pay to park. The guy that's there taking, go park here, go park here. He looks at me and goes, "You came here on a motorcycle?" I'm like, "Yep." He goes, "You can park for free."
I'm like,
this one's on us.
Yeah, so you got that going for you.
I have a thought. One more thought back to music when we were growing up. I had the thing. We did this one thing in high school where you had to bring in it was like using music for something. I actually got in trouble for because Ozzy worshipped the devil.
Well, it's because we went to a Catholic high school.
That was,
it's like I felt like saying at the time. I didn't say it because. Did you ever actually listen to this?
Well, geez, what a tangent. We could go off on the Catholic Church and music.
Well, at Nazareth, I remember bringing in Bohemian Rhapsody and stuff for this.
Well, they must have loved Freddie at them Catholic schools.
Yeah.
Well, as a music history class, I said, "Look, this is the use of opera technique in rock music," and she had nothing.
Sure was.
Yeah.
She was like, "Oh yeah, I guess so."
But so me and Rob, all three of us, we went to this Catholic school, and and you had to wear the uniform, the white shirt with the tie,
The sock tie that was square at the bottom.
But you always knew who listened to metal.
Right.
Because they'd have the white shirt with the tie, but underneath it they'd have the Metallica Kill 'Em All T-shirt, and you'd see the logo right on you'd see the hammer with the blood right on the back of it. Underneath the white shirt.
I'd always wear the concert shirt under when I went.
That's what I'm saying.
Every year.
Everybody would
Did the
know.
Masked Wrestler tell you any anecdotes about wrestling lately?
Me, he's been in Borneo wrestling in front of crowds of 6 and 8. He has not been having the payoffs. He lost his Mid-South Intercontinental cheese ball flour paste belt last week, so he's pretty upset about that. He's vowing revenge against the bear that he wrestled that took the belt from him, and he told me that you can bet on this, that he will be back. He'll get that Southwestern Championship Southern Fried battered belt back around his waist from that dastardly bear who threw powder in his eyes. And not only that, he bit him, and there was a muzzle rule in effect that night. So
tell him that we have hot chicken now. There's a Nashville hot chicken in the area for when he comes up here.
Well, he is entering a chicken and waffles tournament coming up next month. But that'll be in Maine, where they substitute chicken for Old Lobster. And they substitute waffles for rotting biscuits. So
Excellent.
he should be in fine form after he takes that, wins that tournament. And then I'll let you know. His digestive system is pretty strong. He's probably the strongest thing on him.
That reminds me. Anybody catch the Rowdy Roddy Piper 2-hour documentary?
I
That
got
was
it.
really
I got
good.
That was excellent.
No, I got to check it out. It's on biography,
You
right?
could actually
it's
catch.
really
They'll have him
good.
on all month. They got Shawn Michaels on tonight.
Yeah, that was excellent.
They did that one. Stone
Booker
Cold.
T,
I
Stone
didn't see the
Savage.
Booker T or
You
Savage.
seen the new Dark Side of the Ring?
Yeah, the Brian Pillman one.
Yeah.
When did that one come out?
Yeah, just a couple weeks ago.
You can get it on
I'm gonna-
YouTube.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
check that
YouTube
out.
too.
Yeah, Brian Pillman, though, what talent and what a mess.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, that makes for a good story.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
Cincinnati boy.
played for the Bengals.
Yep.
But that's like, I don't think the Masked Wrestler will ever be on them. I thought like the one time Gothic Toad did the bake sale with the chicken and waffles, the one time played that as a gig.
Well, if they came to the Masked Wrestler, he would probably, the Masked Grappler, he would probably deem it a sellout and would not accept, being profiled on their show, because he is a true wrestler. He keeps his private life to himself. He only communicates through me.
And we were real nice when he came. When he showed up on our show, you weren't anywhere.
No. He keeps me in the trunk of his car when that happens.
Greg's always perplexed when we talk wrestling. He's trying
like,
to
yeah.
learn.
No, I get it.
Man, you're the same size as John.
It's amazing. It is
for
like
the
you
glasses.
You guys have the same
two. And he actually,
pants.
what was it? He played a gig for you. I remember that one
He's
gig on
played
Halloween.
several.
Played
Every
several
Halloween, he comes and chokes me out and takes my gig. He's played for Anonymous Willpower. He's played for Infrared Radiation Orchestra, Buddhahood, JPP. Yeah, he's all over the town.
It's amazing, though. But anything else to add? Because once we could probably go for 3 hours.
Yeah, I know.
We'll be back. We'll always be back when we have
I did
time.
want to bring up one thing. Has anybody noticed? I've noticed this.
I've noticed, like, I actually got this coffee that tastes like Fruity Pebbles. I noticed that.
Working at that gas station I work at, that was that whole thing.
Oh, have you seen any
kept
nuts?
that job through COVID, but
Have you seen any nuts down there yet?
nuts, no. It's,
I no.
it's pretty
I'll
mellow.
interrupt you for a second. I saw my first order the other day. It was down by Braddock Bay. There's a guy filling jugs, and all the while he's smoking a cigarette
With
Filling
gas.
jugs
Filling
with
jugs
gas.
with
at
gas.
a gas station.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
No, I haven't seen any.
Thinning the herd.
Just
So
people.
what? So what's
go
the
on.
deal with the?
So
Yeah, go on.
just people filling their, doing their weed whacking and stuff. No, I just noticed that seems to be a city thing, an urban thing, where the black community, like the younger guys, they're wearing metal shirts.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, metal
Is it cool?
shirts,
Like,
Metallica,
like old
Master
school?
of Puppets, yeah,
There
AC/DC.
must be some throwback thing
and
happening.
I've noticed there's 2 or 3
Need to take a
that
drive
wear
down
this.
Clifford
They
Ave.
wear this tie-dye AC/DC hoodie, and it's like I think it's the drawing of Angus. I think it's from Power Age or one of those older, like the
Power
late
Age.
70s.
Yeah.
But I mean,
arms turn into lightning bolts.
no, not that one. The one we're just with the guitar.
Okay.
But I mean, high voltage maybe. I can't remember. But I mean, I just think it's an interesting thing. I'm going, Okay,
But they have no idea who that is on the
actually
shirt.
listen to
Here's
this.
a question.
It's just a
Hold
cool
on.
shirt.
So Iron Maiden comes to Buffalo. I buy a ton of tickets, bring a bunch of people, bring my nephew who was like 5 at the time, bring my both my boys and my youngest, who was a junior in high school at the time. We bring him. I'm like, here's your shirt, whatever.
Yeah.
Do it. So a couple weeks later, he wears his Iron Maiden shirt, and he's got the classic, the Number of the Beast shirt, and he wears it to school.
Yeah.
And a teacher stops him and goes, "Do you like Iron Maiden, or you just thought the shirt was cool?" He goes, "No, I love Iron Maiden. It's like my dad's favorite band." He goes, "Rick, did you go to the show?" And then the whole
Never happened to us.
No,
in high
we would
school.
say, go home and take that off.
That's right.
But the thing was, this is the question, chicken and the egg question. When I go on my walks, I see the same thing. I actually saw a kid go by in a classic Sabbath shirt, and I've seen the Iron Maiden, and I've seen others. Is it because they're selling them at Target, or these kids actually find the bands?
I just think it's become a
They
thing
look
where
cool.
it's cool to wear a classic rock and roll shirt.
It's probably a little bit of both. I gotta imagine there's people wearing
They
this
have
shit
Ramon
because it's a
shirts
nice-
at Target.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I
They would
think
just
to
roll
Rob's
over in
point,
their
it's a little
grave.
bit of both.
I know.
And the
Their parents
establishment.
listened to it, or they just thought it was cool because
Yeah.
Kim Kardashian.
Well, I
was
saw,
wearing
but
an
I saw
Exodus
actually. I
shirt.
went to go
Oh,
see
yeah.
Dick Dale do a signing at House of Guitars, and it was neat. There's these kids behind me. They were in high school, and they really dug Dick Dale. And I'm just looking and going, "These are definitely the outcasts in this school."
Right.
Well, back in the day, you probably had to go to a Ramones show, like bleed a pint of blood, and to get your shirt to take home.
Yeah.
Now you can go to Target.
now you've put nothing into it and you're wearing it. Used to mean something, now it doesn't.
I know it's like,
See that scar? That's from that
Well, that was
shirt.
the thing. Well, you had that dynamic, but here in Rochester, you could also go to the House of Guitars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Climb a mountain of T-shirts,
Right.
and
Maybe
start digging.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna grab that. Yeah, I'm gonna wear that one.
And that could collapse and suffocate you too. So you're still barely risking your
Can I
life.
tell you my theory about the whole House of Guitars thing? Because I remember when I was in there looking for something, and I'm wading through stuff, and there's stacks of discs on top of the actual stacks that are like.
But if you ask somebody, they know
they know
exactly where it is.
Greg
And-
Prevost, when
and
he was
Armin-
there, you would know
and Armin was
everything.
there, and he's watching, walking around, and I said, "Hey, how you doing?" And this and that, and I said, this is actually a pretty good marketing thing. I says because people love digging through stuff to find the gems, and he just kind of looked at me. I was like, "I think this is your whole plot." Right here.
Yeah.
Well, I saw
probably
Greg,
right.
Crack the
Greg
nut.
Prevost did an album signing. I went down to see Greg because I haven't seen him in forever. I'm walking out, Armin's there, and he's looking at me, and I go, I can actually make, what's wrong? Losing your touch, I can actually walk through this aisle.
He's done paying off the fire marshal apparently or something. I don't know how the hell anybody.
And that was the case of us. We haven't
always
like.
think of that.
I think a lot of
Right.
us went down because
Right.
we haven't seen each other in a long time, and but it's like, okay, I can't get through this aisle, and I'll tell you,
that
Jeff, the shirts are there's a whole thing of the shirts.
Yeah.
But that would also be cool because you'd have like a magazine, Cream or Rolling Stone or whatever, and some bands in there,
Hit
and they
parade.
have a House of Guitars
Shirt
shirt
oh,
on. You're
absolutely.
like,
Everybody
sweet.
knows. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
All the musicians that have been around at least for a while always came there. They
Yeah,
all know.
sometimes you might run into somebody there.
Sure.
Absolutely, it's an iconic store internationally, man.
Absolutely.
I found that out when I moved here. It's something else. There's
I was-
nothing like it anywhere.
I was just listening to whatever podcast. I don't remember what. I don't remember the artist. It doesn't really matter. And they were talking about this place in Rochester, New York that sells, everything, guitars and all that stuff.
Sheldon's van, puts out in the, go in the alleyway, get the bootlegs.
Yeah.
Give them Twizzlers, they'll get you anything.
We're playing there later this year. I think.
We're in Sheldon's van.
Oh yeah.
No, at House of Guitars.
Does anybody know what that building used to originally be?
Oh, it was like a
Furniture.
was
Or it was
it
the Grange, whatever that is. The Grange. It
It's
was
like some old Masonic,
Masonic Temple or something?
Yeah.
That's what I heard. Or something. It's what I
It
thought.
looks
I heard.
like it.
Yeah.
It was called the Grange, though. I think if you look at it, I don't know.
I-Square is a great place to
I'll have to
play.
look.
I mean,
I
it's
got
something
that
even you
book.
looking for
Yeah.
sometime. It's really fun.
That's the one gig I played last August.
It's outside
was
at least.
Centenary Road, and that's the only gig I played.
There's a book that they came out with, the House of Guitars. It's really good. It's got the history of the building. I got a couple
really?
of issues of it at home.
But
yeah.
now,
Oh, I got one. Yeah.
Look into that because it's got all that info in
Yeah.
it.
And you went to Carmen Apice's guitar thing. I mean, drum thing.
Yeah,
I actually thought of a real instrument.
it was good. Yeah. He had a lot of good. I did some video. He was explaining linear things, and I was like, I get it, but it's like really weird to try to do it.
It's in his book. It's amazing, you know, that realistic rock book's been around for 45 years. Mm-hmm. It's like the go-to. I still teach my students out of that book. It's like the go-to book for drum set, or one of them.
Yeah.
And I think in his biography, Buddy Rich didn't hate his guts, at least, in terms of being a rock drummer.
Oh, right, yeah.
Well, he really looked down on rock drummers, but
Absolutely.
That's the one guy he maybe.
You know, you've heard like the probably fake story about Buddy Rich when he was dying, and I guess they saw him on his deathbed, and his last words were, "That's not as bad as country music."
No, I didn't hear that one.
And I'm sure it's made up, but he didn't. He always looked down on rock drummers, but he said that like Carmen was okay.
Yeah, we were the lowest of the low.
Well, we know that. But it's been. We'll have everybody back because we could do 3 hours, go have burritos, and come back. Yeah. But Jeff, anything I'm not even going to answer. You're not doing it. I know.
Nope, not happening.
So, what's new in life? Anything fun? Anything? Kids graduating? You know, school, whatever.
No, I mean, one kid graduated last year. Actually, they both did. One from high school, one from college, and one's in college and one's out.
There we go. The
working on
update.
railroads. Yeah.
What about our musicians? You have anything on the horizon?
I'm supposed to do a vocal.
I mean,
thing.
drummers, not musicians. Excuse me.
You gonna take that?
Man.
It's 3 against 1.
Let me go get my mask.
Hey, shut up. Shut up. You mean you get your friend to call
Yeah, that's right.
from Borneo?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to do a vocal thing today for a song I wrote at Don's house, so I might have to do that. And then that's gonna come out next month.
Do you say it's about lying? That's like
In pretty words.
that's really not topical. People lying.
It's very topical.
Never heard of such a thing.
Never heard of it. That's a lie.
Hey, it was on the internet. It's true.
Yeah.
That's
That's about it.
I'm just JPP just got back in the woodshed after being a year away from each other. So we have nothing. We didn't even try and traverse these waters of gigging. Like I said, none of us were counting on this as our livelihood. So we stayed safe, stayed away, and I finished a record with Centenary Road, and I'm doing another record with them. And JPP will start gigging. We have our first gig late August if things.
You never know.
Yeah, I know.
Actually, that was one point last year was the year of found money because I would look at my email and I would see my latest concert tickets were refunded.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would keep it's like your Nick Cave show in Philly. You have a refund. It's canceled. This
You're
is canceled.
lucky, because a lot of people got totally fucked up.
Yeah, some did, but they didn't. Like Dave Herman's, he got so excited. And like Trey Anastasio, I'm like, great, I'll leave. Jason Isbell was playing with them for 2 gigs. One was at CMAC. He got tickets, and I planned on going to see Jason leaving. It got canceled.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, I would have stayed for Trey. The guy's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I probably would have stayed just because I probably would have ridden with Dave. But
What do you got going on, Rob?
well, I do this show and
Talking about the
I'm gonna cut the
drummer,
grass
Rob.
We got too many
afterwards.
Robs here.
Which Rob? Well, not a whole lot. I got a gig coming up. My local band called Forum, which has only played 2 gigs and then lost all
I
momentum.
saw one.
You saw one, lost all momentum.
I stepped in a mud puddle out in the parking
There you
lot
go.
afterwards. This was like, when was this? Like January?
It was early March.
Tim Walker went. We were talking in the parking lot about
Yeah.
this crap coming down, and it was like around early March.
It was early March. Well, what happened was that we played one gig, which was at Art Smoke. It went well. And then the next gig was right when I got the call to do the scrap metal all-star thing in Wisconsin. So we had to cancel the Forum gig. And then it was rescheduled for February. And then it was a snowstorm, and everybody decided not to do it. And then it was rescheduled for March. So it took 3 tries to get our second gig in. And then COVID hit. So there's no momentum built up whatsoever. But we have a gig outdoors at some festival, I forget where, in July. We had 3 gigs last summer, and they all got pushed back, canceled, like everybody.
Yeah.
And then recently, I was texting with Gunnar Nelson about the scrap metal stuff, and I'm like, hey, man, I'd love to do some more of those shows. Because I don't know if you guys who know anything about scrap metal, but it's the Nelson twins and Mark Slaughter, and
Is that
it's an all-star heavy.
Cool.
Anybody in the metal community, Tom Kiefer, and all these guys do it.
And you drum?
And I did.
Anderson.
I did one gig with them. It's the second last gig I played before COVID was in Wisconsin with them with Phil Lewis and Barry Goodrow from Boston. We did Ted Pulley from Danger. We had Janet Gardner from Vixen and Eric Martin from Mr. Big. And, it's a fun thing to do.
Almost like Metal Ringo's All-Stars.
Yeah, exactly.
You've done the fantasy camps, haven't you?
I did did a fantasy camp in where'd I go? Chicago, Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. That's a pretty big thing. I was fortunate enough to do one of those as a camp counselor. But I was talking to Gunnar, and I'm like, love to do more gigs if you guys need me. And he said, funnily enough, the promoter or the booking agent or whatever was just talking to him about getting some of that stuff going. So hopefully I'll get a call to do, more of those. We'll see.
Cool.
I mean, it just depends on, it's whoever's available, whoever,
And I can't let you. What were your thoughts? Obviously, Lou's retired now, isn't he?
No, he just did a gig with him the last.
What was your in terms of I know your thoughts when you played with?
Well, he retired us.
Yes.
He decided he didn't want a band anymore, and that's a whole other.
But that was a thing. It's just I always think it's amazing when I talk about friends doing things like we grew up listening to them. Then you're playing with Lou.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was amazing.
I followed that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. It's just he decided, and I think he was partially, talked into getting rid of his own band, and and he was convinced to go out and just, go play with what's his name from Asia, John Payne, and John kind of, used Lou's name, I think, to help sell tickets and boost him. His career, which, whatever,
Plus, it was a fun ride. It was really cool. You got a lot you got to tell. You put up those things online about name that tune, and I always put the most dumbass thing I could think about.
Yeah, no, it was fun. I tried to put music related stuff on that, and I put a lot of stuff from Lou and scrap metal up there, and. And I don't want anybody thinking I'm talking bad about Lou. He does what he thinks is right, and he's out doing this thing. He just played a gig a couple weeks ago, and more power to him. It's his thing. It kind of was a bummer to have him cancel the band, but then decide to keep going without the importance of us. Because I think we brought something to the table that pushed him. You know what I mean? And but it's his name on the marquee, so I get it.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I mean,
everybody's got a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you had your time. You had a lot of good stories. You had a lot of fun.
Steve Perry, he's not in Journey anymore.
How did you get involved with that scrap metal thing?
Well, I went to the junkyard.
Looking for a fridge. Well, it was really weird. I know the guitar player Howie Simon, who plays most of them, who plays with Nelson. He's initially from Buffalo, and he was in a band called I think Icewater Mansion or something.
I remember them.
And I know he's played here, but the week before I got any contact from them, I was asking him about playing with somebody else, like if they're looking for a drummer, blah blah. I think it was Michael Sweet from Stryper, and I know how he knew him. I'm like, hey, if you could pass my name along, whatever, that'd be cool. So a week later, I get, out of all things, a message on LinkedIn, out of any social media, it was out of the blue, from Gunnar Nelson offering me the show, and here's who's involved. We need a drummer, blah blah blah, and that was it. He's talking about the future and maybe doing more scrap metal and doing more of a full-time drummer type thing, and he was kind of really did a great job blowing smoke up my butt about being involved. Now, whether it happens or not, we'll see. Right. But it was just I woke up for work one morning at 4 a.m, and there's a message from Gunnar Nelson saying, "We want you to do this."
Foot's in the door. And it's all
That's happened to me often.
Yeah. That's very
I get up
cool.
at 4,
but on LinkedIn's the weirdest thing. You think Facebook or
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn's professional.
Yeah, well, I tell you, I get more of an interesting professional comments and input and enthusiasm on LinkedIn for my Name That Tune weekly thing than anywhere else. Yeah. No offense to anybody anywhere else on Facebook or Instagram, but LinkedIn and the people on LinkedIn for that are just more interactive, and it's just a different mindset. It's amazing.
It's more businessy, I think.
And that's why.
When I see LinkedIn on my mail, I know it's a business thing.
Yeah.
And for us, our house musician, the great Adrian at noon, will be playing a set at Iron Smoke on Friday, 7:30. So come down if you can, but after I get a seat because of the limited capacity, okay?
There you go.
But it'll be good. She's been really interesting. I love Iron Smoke's a great venue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to have. I think they're finally just opening up to have shows. I know Tommy's played around. Mm-hmm. There's a new place called Blitzy's out. Have you heard of it, John?
No.
Blitzy's?
Blincy's or something. I've seen some bands that played.
Are you thinking of Buntsy's?
Buntsy's, yeah. Leave me alone.
Yes,
That's my check. It's crap wrong.
Yeah.
I was like,
Blintzes is a great sub I've had.
Yeah,
so.
it's the little thing with
Matt's
the grapes
grandpa
and the
told me about
raspberries
it.
in them. Yeah, bunsies.
Yeah, it's like 4 chicken breasts, 16 fried eggs, and 17 pieces of bacon.
Stay tuned for our cooking episode with John and the Masked Wrestler. But anything else to add, or
Nah,
we'll have
man.
everybody back soon because we could go take a break, get one of those subs, and come back.
We'd all be in food coma.
Yeah,
And I will
the
have
Widowmaker.
because as usual, Gothic Toad won't let us play anything.
Correct.
Greg will have some stuff in the future for us. I'm sure John and Rob will too.
Yep.
Yeah,
I got some coffee cans you two could drum on maybe afterwards. But I'm going to play, and maybe we're going to have her on soon, I hope. Lisa Commentucci Lowden. Oh, crap. Lowden. Lisa Commentucci Lowden. Why do you have to have a second middle name that I can't pronounce? I'm going to have some brain cloud. I've seen her, a great person, played around town, great vocalist. And after hearing this podcast, to have her on there, she'll probably do the name of the song. I'm going to play your song, No Regrets. So thanks,
choice.
everybody.
Thank you, buddy.
See ya.